Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 6 tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jessica Porter. A day many have been waiting years for is finally here. Opening statements began today in the trial for a man accused of carrying out a mass shooting inside a Boulder King Soopers.
10 people were murdered at the store on Table Mesa Drive, March 2021. And Denver 7 has chosen not to name the shooter in our coverage. Now, the trial has been delayed several times over question of the suspect's competency. And during today's openings, the defense said it does not dispute that the defendant killed 10 innocent people. Instead, they say he was in the throes of a psychotic episode the day of the shooting.
The Boulder County DA told jurors that the suspect was sane during the shooting and pointed to months of preparation before the attack.
He was delusional. He was paranoid. And the reason that matters is because it influenced his behavior.
The victims are completely random, but the murders were absolutely planned, deliberate, and intentional.
Jurors will ultimately have to decide if the suspect's mental state should absolve him of legal responsibility.
And this trial, with all the horrific details that it will show, is going to be incredibly painful for so many people.
Denver 7's Veronica Costa was in Boulder for us and spoke with those dealing with the heaviness of today.
While opening statements were underway inside of the courtroom, outside, community members and families told us they felt Thursday was one step closer to justice. As the trial for the King Soopers shooter begins, all of the emotions and heaviness of March 22nd, 2021 have come flooding back.
Telling the stories again. It's been 3.5 years. It's a long time, and people have been processing it in different ways, and so to hear it again and also hearing different things they may not have even heard, it just surges all those emotions again.
A surge therapists with the Boulder Strong Resource Center are helping with inside and outside the courthouse.
People need options. It's hard to watch. It's hard to be part of this.
For Erica Mahoney and Olivia McKenzie, there is no option but to be a part of this. They're the daughters of Kevin Mahoney and Lynn Murray, 2 of the 10 people killed in the shooting.
I think we all kind of burst into tears when we saw each other today because it felt like the first day.
The 2 women helping each other through the day and inevitably the days ahead.
We've never done this before, stepping into the unknown yet again, wanting to be a voice for our parents, but also wanting to protect ourselves is a really hard, balance.
While others show support from afar.
Anything else for you? All right, 850. I hope they're doing okay, especially going into this weekend.
The weight of this trial heavy on the hearts of all of those in this community, a community that is Boulder strong.
After the shooting, of course, it's hard to look at silver linings, but it was definitely one where people worked together, and that bleeds through into today, 3 years later.
In Boulder, Veronica Costa, Denver 7.
And testimony included the painful details about what happened that day.
Officers arriving to see no cover, a huge store full of people, aisles blocking their view, and no idea if they could be ambushed from any direction.
All right, former Denver Police Chief Paul Pazin is here. So good to see you, and thank you for coming in today. You were among those officers who responded that day. So the scenario that Jessica just set up, that's going to be a nightmare scenario for cops arriving.
You're exactly right. This is a very chaotic scene. This is something that the folks in Boulder are not used to. A mass shooting at a grocery store. This is so outside the norm of a very peaceful city, and we recognize the magnitude of this crisis, and many of our officers responded from Denver, to include myself, to try to provide support to the Boulder Police Department.
A horrible day. Prosecutors said that the suspect took 8 lives in 68 seconds and moved with precision and speed. So what does that say to you about the suspect and the planning that went into this attack?
Jessica, I think it's exactly what you just said. For that level of violence, to kill 8 people in just over a minute requires a lot of planning and preparation. And I think that the prosecutor in this case is really pointing out some of the key important aspects of what clearly was an intentional act.
So, Paul, as you know, the defense is arguing here that the gunman was insane. From a law enforcement perspective, what do you feel about that charge and how that plays out in a trial like this?
Well, Shannon, obviously mental health is very important to all of us here, and there's a lot more awareness. But the preparation that we just talked about, the months prior to, and then the senseless act of violence being done in such a short amount of time, that was a lot of preparation. So there were plenty of off-ramps that could have been taken by this individual, and they chose not to.
Yeah, all right.
Paul Pazin, we thank you for being here and your perspective, and we'll be relying on Paul Pazin's expertise throughout the trial, and we're looking forward to sitting down with you again.
Yeah, Paul, thank you very much. So appreciated. So the trial is expected to last most of the month, and of course we will have continuing coverage of every single thing that happens every day in court. Follow along all of our updates on air, on Denver7.com, and on the Denver 7 Plus app.